Cameroon. Cameroon is a country in Central Africa. It is bordered by Nigeria to the west and north, Chad to the northeast, the Central African Republic to the east, and Equatorial Guinea, Gabon and the Republic of the Congo to the south. Cameroon's coastline lies on the Bight of Biafra, part of the Gulf of Guinea and the Atlantic Ocean. Although Cameroon is not an ECOWAS member state, it is geographically and historically in West Africa, with the Southern Cameroons which now form her northwest and southwest regions having a strong West African history. The country is sometimes identified as West African and other times as Central African due to its strategic position at the crossroads between West and Central Africa. Cameroon is home to over 250 native languages spoken by nearly 20 million people. The official languages of the country are English and French. Early inhabitants of the territory included the Sao civilization around Lake Chad and the Baka hunter-gatherers in the southeastern rainforest. Portuguese explorers reached the coast in the 15th century and named the area Rio dos Cameros, Shrimp River, which became Cameroon in English. Fulani soldiers founded the Adamawa Emirate in the north in the 19th century, and various ethnic groups of the west and northwest established powerful chiefdoms and fandoms. Cameroon became a German colony in 1884 known as Cameroon. After World War I, the territory was divided between France and the United Kingdom as League of Nations mandates. The Union des Populations du Cameroun (UPC) political party advocated independence but was outlawed by France in the 1950s, leading to the Bamileke War fought between French and UPC militant forces until early 1971. In 1960, the French-administered part of Cameroon became independent as the Republic of Cameroon under President Amadou Ahidjo. The southern part of British Cameroons federated with it in 1961 to form the Federal Republic of Cameroon. The federation was abandoned in 1972. The country was renamed the United Republic of Cameroon in 1972 and the Republic of Cameroon in 1984. Large numbers of Cameroonians live as subsistence farmers. Paul Biya, the incumbent president, has led the country since 1982. He had previously held office as prime minister, from 1975 until his elevation to the presidency. The country has experienced tensions coming from the English-speaking territories. Politicians in the English-speaking regions have advocated for greater decentralization and even complete separation or independence, as in the Southern Cameroons National Council, from Cameroon. In 2017, tensions in the English-speaking territories escalated into open warfare. The official languages of Cameroon are French and English. The languages of former colonial French Cameroons and British Cameroons, and its religious population consists of 70% Christians and 20% Muslims. It is governed as a unitary presidential republic and has good relations with the major powers of France, the United Kingdom and China. The country is often referred to as Africa in miniature, for its geological and cultural diversity. Natural features include beaches, deserts, mountains, rainforests, and savannas. The highest point at almost 4,100 meters (13,500 feet) is Mount Cameroon in the southwest region of the country, and the largest cities in population terms are Douala on the Wari River, its economic capital and main seaport, Yaoundé, its political capital, and Garwa. The country is well known for its native styles of music, particularly Makassa and Bikutsi, and for its successful national football team. Cameroon is a member state of the African Union, the United Nations, the Non-Aligned Movement and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. History of Cameroon. The territory of present-day Cameroon was first settled during the Neolithic era. The longest continuous inhabitants are groups such as the Baka Pygmies. From here, Bantu migrations into eastern, southern, and central Africa are believed to have originated about 2,000 years ago. The Sao culture arose around Lake Chad, c. 500 AD, and gave way to the Kanem and its successor state, the Bornu Empire. Kingdoms, fondoms, and chiefdoms arose in the west. Portuguese sailors reached the coast in 1472. They noted an abundance of the ghost shrimp Lepidophthalmus turneranus in the Wari River and named it Rio dos Cameros, Shrimp River, which became Cameroon in English. Over the following few centuries, European interests regularized trade with the coastal peoples, and Christian missionaries pushed inland. Politics and government in Cameroon. The President of Cameroon is elected and creates policy, administers government agencies, commands the armed forces, negotiates and ratifies treaties, and declares a state of emergency. The President appoints government officials at all levels, from the Prime Minister, considered the official head of government, to the provincial governors and divisional officers. The President is elected by popular vote every 7 years. There have been 2 presidents since the independence of Cameroon. The National Assembly makes legislation. The body consists of 180 members who are elected for 5-year terms and meet 3 times per year. Laws are passed on a majority vote. Rarely has the Assembly changed or blocked legislation proposed by the President. The 1996 Constitution establishes a second House of Parliament. The 100-seat Senate was established in April 2013 and is headed by a President of the Senate who is the constitutional successor in case of untimely vacancy of the Presidency of the Republic. The government recognizes the authority of traditional chiefs, Fons, and Lamibi to govern at the local level and to resolve disputes as long as such rulings do not conflict with national law. Cameroon's legal system is largely based on French civil law with common law influences. Although nominally independent, the judiciary falls under the authority of the executive's Ministry of Justice. The President appoints judges at all levels. The judiciary is officially divided into tribunals, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. The National Assembly elects the members of a 9-member High Court of Justice that judges high-ranking members of the government in the event they are charged with high treason or harming national security. Political culture in Cameroon. Cameroon is viewed as rife with corruption at all levels of government. In 1997, Cameroon established anti-corruption bureaus in 29 ministries, but only 25% became operational, and in 2012, Transparency International placed Cameroon at number 144 on a list of 176 countries ranked from least to most corrupt. On 18 January 2006, BIA initiated an anti-corruption drive under the direction of the National Anti-Corruption Observatory. There are several high corruption risk areas in Cameroon, for instance, customs, public health sector, and public procurement. However, the corruption has gotten worse, regardless of the existing anti-corruption bureaus, as Transparency International ranked Cameroon 152 on a list of 180 countries in 2018. President Biya's Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) was the only legal political party until December 1990. Numerous regional political groups have since formed. The primary opposition is the Social Democratic Front (SDF), based largely in the Anglophone region of the country and headed by John Fru Ndi. Biya and his party have maintained control of the presidency and the National Assembly in national elections, which rivals contend were unfair. Human rights organizations allege that the government suppresses the freedoms of opposition groups by preventing demonstrations, disrupting meetings, and arresting opposition leaders and journalists. In particular, English-speaking people are discriminated against. Protests often escalate into violent clashes and killings. In 2017, President Biya shut down the Internet in the English-speaking region for 94 days, at the cost of hampering 5 million people, including Silicon Mountain startups. Freedom House ranks Cameroon as not free in terms of political rights and civil liberties. The last parliamentary elections were held on the 30th of September 2013. Geography of Cameroon. At 475,442 square kilometers, 183,569 square miles, Cameroon is the world's 53rd largest country. It is slightly larger than the nation of Sweden and the state of California. Cameroon is comparable in size to Papua New Guinea. The country is located in Central and West Africa, known as the Hinge of Africa, on the Bight of Biafra, part of the Gulf of Guinea and the Atlantic Ocean. Cameroon lies between latitudes 1 degree and 13 degrees north, and longitudes 8 degrees and 17 degrees east. Cameroon controls 12 nautical miles of the Atlantic Ocean. Tourist literature describes Cameroon as Africa in miniature because it exhibits all major climates and vegetation of the continent: coast, desert, mountains, rainforest, and savanna. The country's neighbors are Nigeria and the Atlantic Ocean to the west, Chad to the northeast, the Central African Republic to the east, and Equatorial Guinea, Gabon and the Republic of the Congo to the south. Cameroon is divided into 5 major geographic zones distinguished by dominant physical, climatic, and vegetative features. The coastal plain extends 15 to 150 kilometers (9 to 93 miles) inland from the Gulf of Guinea and has an average elevation of 90 meters (295 feet). Exceedingly hot and humid with a short dry season, this belt is densely forested and includes some of the wettest places on Earth, part of the Cross-Sanaga-Bioko coastal forests. The South Cameroon Plateau rises from the coastal plain to an average elevation of 650 meters (2,133 feet). Equatorial rainforest dominates this region, although its alternation between wet and dry seasons makes it as less humid than the coast. This area is part of the Atlantic Equatorial Coastal Forests ecoregion. An irregular chain of mountains, hills, and plateaus known as the Cameroon Range extends from Mount Cameroon on the coast, Cameroon's highest point at 4,095 meters (13,435 feet), almost to Lake Chad at Cameroon's northern border at 13 degrees 05 in. This region has a mild climate, particularly on the western high plateau, although rainfall is high. Its soils are among Cameroon's most fertile, especially around volcanic Mount Cameroon. Volcanism here has created crater lakes. On the 21st of August 1986, one of these, Lake Nyos, belched carbon dioxide and killed between 1,700 and 2,000 people. This area has been delineated by the World Wildlife Fund as the Cameroonian Highlands Forests ecoregion. The southern plateau rises northward to the grassy, rugged Adamawa Plateau. This feature stretches from the western mountain area and forms a barrier between the country's north and south. Its average elevation is 1,100 meters (3,609 feet), and its average temperature ranges from 22 degrees Celsius (71.6 degrees Fahrenheit) to 25 degrees Celsius (77 degrees Fahrenheit), with high rainfall between April and October, peaking in July and August. The northern lowland region extends from the edge of the Adamawa to Lake Chad with an average elevation of 300 to 350 meters (984 to 1,148 feet). Its characteristic vegetation is savanna scrub and grass. This is an arid region with sparse rainfall and high median temperatures. Cameroon has 4 patterns of drainage. In the south, the principal rivers are the Entem, Niang, Sanaga, and Wari. These flow southwestward or westward directly into the Gulf of Guinea. The Jaw and Kadai drain southeastward into the Congo River. In northern Cameroon, the Benue River runs north and west and empties into the Niger. The Lagon flows northward into Lake Chad, which Cameroon shares with 3 neighboring countries. Military in Cameroon. The Cameroon Armed Forces, French, Forces Armées Camerounaises, FAC, as of 2015, consists of the country's army, French, Armée de Terre, the country's navy, French, Marine Nationale de la République, MNR, includes naval infantry, the Cameroonian Air Force, French, Armée de l'Air du Cameroun, AAC, Firefighter Corps, Rapid Intervention Brigade and the Gendarmerie. Males and females that are 18 years of age up to 23 years of age and have graduated high school are eligible for military service. Those who join are obliged to complete 4 years of service. There is no conscription in Cameroon, but the government makes periodic calls for volunteers. Demographics in Cameroon. The population total in Cameroon was 25,216,267 in 2018. The life expectancy is 56 years, 55.9 years for males and 58.6 years for females. According to the latest census, Cameroon still has slightly more women, 50.6%, than men, 49.4%. Nearly 60% of the population is under age 25. People over 65 years of age account for only 3.2% of the total population. Cameroon's population is almost evenly divided between urban and rural dwellers. Population density is highest in the large urban centers, the Western Highlands, and the Northeastern Plain. Douala, Yaoundé, and Garwa are the largest cities. In contrast, the Adamawa Plateau, southeastern Benue Depression, and most of the South Cameroon Plateau are sparsely populated. According to the World Health Organization, the fertility rate was 4.8 in 2013 with a population growth rate of 2.56%. People from the overpopulated Western Highlands and the underdeveloped North are moving to the coastal plantation zone and urban centers for employment. Smaller movements are occurring as workers seek employment in lumber mills and plantations in the south and east. Although the national sex ratio is relatively even, these outmigrants are primarily males, which leads to unbalanced ratios in some regions. Both monogamous and polygamous marriage is practiced, and the average Cameroonian family is large and extended. In the north, women tend to the home, and men herd cattle or work as farmers. In the south, women grow the family's food, and men provide meat and grow cash crops. Cameroonian society is male-dominated, and violence and discrimination against women are common. Estimates identify anywhere from 230 to 282 different folks and linguistic groups in Cameroon. The Adamawa Plateau broadly bisects these into northern and southern divisions. The northern peoples are Sudanese groups, who live in the Central Highlands and the northern lowlands, and the Fulani, who are spread throughout northern Cameroon. A small number of Shua Arabs live near Lake Chad. Southern Cameroon is inhabited by speakers of Bantu and semi-Bantu languages. Bantu-speaking groups inhabit the coastal and equatorial zones, while speakers of semi-Bantu languages live in the western grassfields. Some 5,000 Giele and Baka Pygmy peoples roam the southeastern and coastal rainforests or live in small, roadside settlements. Nigerians make up the largest group of foreign nationals. Languages in Cameroon. Both English and French are official languages, although French is by far the most understood language, more than 80%. German, the language of the original colonizers, has long since been displaced by French and English. Cameroonian Pidgin English is the lingua franca in the formerly British-administered territories. A mixture of English, French, and Pidgin called Camfranglais has been gaining popularity in urban centers since the mid-1970s. The government encourages bilingualism in English and French, and as such, official government documents, new legislation, ballots, among others, are written and provided in both languages. As part of the initiative to encourage bilingualism in Cameroon, 6 of the 8 universities in the country are entirely bilingual. In addition to the colonial languages, there are approximately 250 other languages spoken by nearly 20 million Cameroonians. It is because of this that Cameroon is considered one of the most linguistically diverse countries in the world. In 2017 there were language protests by the Anglophone population against perceived oppression by the Francophone. The military was deployed against the protesters and people have been killed, hundreds imprisoned and thousands fled the country. This culminated in the declaration of an independent Republic of Ambazonia, which has since evolved into the Anglophone crisis. Human rights in Cameroon. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights reports that Cameroon government forces are responsible for killings, the excessive use of force, burning down of houses, arbitrary detentions, and torture. UN figures indicate that more than 21,000 people have fled to neighboring countries, while 160,000 have been internally displaced by the violence, many reportedly hiding in forests. On 25 July 2018, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Zaid Ra'ad al-Hussein expressed deep concern about reports of violations and abuses in the English-speaking northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Education and health. In 2013, the total adult literacy rate of Cameroon was estimated to be 71.3%. Among youths age 15 to 24, the literacy rate was 85.4% for males and 76.4% for females. Most children have access to state-run schools that are cheaper than private and religious facilities. The educational system is a mixture of British and French precedents with most instruction in English or French. Cameroon has one of the highest school attendance rates in Africa. Girls attend school less regularly than boys do because of cultural attitudes, domestic duties, early marriage, pregnancy, and sexual harassment. Although attendance rates are higher in the south, a disproportionate number of teachers are stationed there, leaving northern schools chronically understaffed. In 2013, the primary school enrollment rate was 93.5%. School attendance in Cameroon is also affected by child labor. Indeed, the United States Department of Labor findings on the worst forms of child labor reported that 56% of children aged 5 to 14 were working children and that almost 53% of children aged 7 to 14 combined work and school. In December 2014, a list of goods produced by child labor or forced labor issued by the Bureau of International Labor Affairs mentioned Cameroon among the countries that resorted to child labor in the production of cocoa. The quality of health care is generally low. Life expectancy at birth is estimated to be 56 years in 2012, with 48 healthy life years expected. The fertility rate remains high in Cameroon with an average of 4.8 births per woman and an average mother's age of 19.7 years old at first birth. In Cameroon, there is only one doctor for every 5,000 people, according to the World Health Organization. In 2014, just 4.1% of total GDP expenditure was allocated to healthcare. Due to financial cuts in the healthcare system, there are few professionals. Doctors and nurses who were trained in Cameroon emigrate because in Cameroon the payment is poor while the workload is high. Nurses are unemployed even though their help is needed. Some of them help out voluntarily so they will not lose their skills. Outside the major cities, facilities are often dirty and poorly equipped. In 2012, the top 3 deadly diseases were HIV, AIDS, lower respiratory tract infection, and diarrheal diseases. Endemic diseases include dengue fever, filariasis, leishmaniasis, malaria, meningitis, schistosomiasis, and sleeping sickness. The HIV/AIDS prevalence rate in 2016 was estimated at 3.8% for those aged 15 to 49, although a strong stigma against the illness keeps the number of reported cases artificially low. 46,000 children under age 14 were estimated to be living with HIV in 2016. In Cameroon, 58% of those living with HIV know their status, and just 37% receive ARV treatment. In 2016, 29,000 deaths due to AIDS occurred in both adults and children. Breast ironing, a traditional practice that is prevalent in Cameroon, may affect girls' health. Female genital mutilation (FGM), while not widespread, is practiced among some populations. According to a 2013 UNICEF report, 1% of women in Cameroon have undergone FGM. Also impacting women's and girls' health, the contraceptive prevalence rate is estimated to be just 34.4% in 2014. Traditional healers remain a popular alternative to evidence-based medicine. Sports in Cameroon. National policy strongly advocates sport in all forms. Traditional sports include canoe racing and wrestling, and several hundred runners participate in the 40 km 25 miles Mount Cameroon Race of Hope each year. Cameroon is one of the few tropical countries to have competed in the Winter Olympics. Sport in Cameroon is dominated by football. Amateur football clubs abound, organized along ethnic lines or under corporate sponsors. The national team has been one of the most successful in Africa since its strong showing in the 1982 and 1990 FIFA World Cups. Cameroon has won 5 African Cup of Nations titles and the gold medal at the 2000 Olympics. Cameroon was the host country of the Women Africa Cup of Nations in November to December 2016. The women's football team is known as the Indomitable Lionesses. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, click on like button. If you want to watch more videos like this, click on the subscription button below. It's free subscription.